All right. So this is, Paul. That's my name. And I'm on here today talking a little bit. I'm actually doing a little bit of ranting today about, just some situations that I've encountered. And what I'm really wanting to talk about is the mere fact of men and women. Um, I do a lot of research, I do a lot of studying on men, women, how opportunities are. I also have life experience in dealing with people and situations. And the rant I'm talking about today really is primarily, my daughter's mom and how she tries to control me. And, one of the things I've realized is that, every few months, this woman decides that she wants to try to contact my mother. She wants to try and contact my family, my sister, whomever she can, to control the situation when she don't get her way with me. And enough is enough. One of the things with PRMC that I talk about, and I am the founder of it, and I want to express that this is not a hate type of video, but it's an expression of what we're not going to stand for. And one of the things that I refuse to stand for is the obscenity of an individual who chooses to manipulate themselves through others and manipulate a system, and no ethical, no moral anything. This woman talks about consistency all the time. And I've always tell my son, I always tell young men, I always tell young women too, be careful who you sleep with, because who you sleep with is going to dictate how your future will be, in a way, because it's going to change and alter your train of thought. And I say that simply because when you have a child, and I've been on both spectrums, when you have a child and you're married to somebody and you love that woman or you love that man, you decide to lay down and have that mutual effect of and effort in making and creating a child. But when you have a child and you lay with someone and you're not sure that you want to be with that individual, and that child or that person decides to make that choice for you, then it becomes a forceful action. And then that's where it becomes, well, you slept with me, nobody made you do it, and so forth, so forth, so forth, so forth. And then at this point, you're in child support and you're going through legal custody and the shenanigans behind it. Again, I've been on both sides of the perspective. So I understand having a child, watching a child grow that you love, and I understand that having a child that you did not want and you're forced to love that child. It's a whole different type of love, and I don't think a lot of men and women understand that. And one of the things I'm going to talk about, just for a brief second, is that, women, don't lay with a man if he ain't trying to make no commitment to you. Don't be stupid. Don't think that his penis is large enough and thick enough and hit you real deep, that's called love. That ain't nothing, because most of these young boys out here, they don't have no real man out here trying to teach them how to be a daddy. They don't, and it's really not even just their fault. They're just not taught that. And because they're not taught, they're not put in the best situation because their mothers don't know which way to take them, or they don't have a strong uncle or a father male type system. It happens in a lot of communities. And women, you need to just take your time out. Young girls, you need to take your time out and real talk. Get your head right. Think. Don't look, but think. Don't use your heart. Think. It's the same thing I tell everybody that I run into. And for you fellas out there, look, there's girls out here, big chest, big booty, big hips. I was a sucker for all that stuff too. And a cute face, light skin, dark skin, chocolate, however you want to call it. It's real. And when you're young, that's all you're thinking about. How you going to get out and how she's going to represent you and make you look good and make you feel good. And when you get her behind closed doors and she's the only one that's been giving you attention and all these different things. Hey, we all go through that. But what I want to get off into, since we talk about that a lot, is I want to get off into, a situation that I'm encountering that I really want people to understand. I have a situation where my daughter's mother had this child without my consent and forced me to be in her life. Let me just keep it real with you. No, I didn't want a child. I prevented that by taking up a certain type of procedure that did not work. However, more so, I really didn't want a child with this woman. And things happen. Nature happens. And guys, you're going to run into this. Girls, you may run into this as well. But, regardless of the situation, I have grown to love my daughter. Fantastic, smart little girl. Certain things about her mom I don't like. Certain things I won't put out in public. But, the bottom line is her mother has no respect for me. And because she doesn't have any respect, it makes that difficult for me to have a true relationship with my little girl. Men, when you run into women like that who is a control freak and doesn't respect you as a man, you have to stand your ground. And let me just be real with you. And women, I'm going to get to you about these men as well, but I'm going to start on you women because, you young girls need to understand when you lay down and have a kid, that child doesn't belong to you. And I stress this a lot. If you decide that you want a kid, don't ask for support. If you say you want to do it by yourself, be your own woman, stand on your own 2 feet and raise that child. If you truly want to raise a child by yourself, I wouldn't suggest it. But if that's what you want, then you stand on your 2 feet. Don't use the government system. Don't use the man because he's a means of financial support. Have an education. Be strong. Stand on your 2 feet. But don't have such a big chip on your shoulder where you can't take help. Okay? Because there's a big difference between that. And I want you to understand that. So, in my situation, my daughter's mom, she's a control freak. She really wants to control every single thing. And what she doesn't understand, and only being a parent for 8 years, is that, there's give and take. You can't use a word like consistency and then think that people are going to do what you want them to do. Hey, girl, it don't work that way. It never will work that way. When you look at this video and you keep rewinding it and going back, you'll figure it out. It's not about you, okay? You try to bring another man, and here's another one of my things. Don't try to replace a man with that child's father, okay? Because, here's my situation. She tried to replace me with another man. And let me tell you, women, ain't no man gonna love your child like that man who brought that child into the world. I guarantee you that. Just because God gave you the natural right to birth a child doesn't mean that you're a great mom. Doesn't mean you're going to come out successful and understand what it is to be a parent. That's just not how it's going to happen. And it's vice versa with the man. Sometimes men have to be taught. Young boys have to be taught how to be men and understand that in the process of being that person, he has to develop himself and want to do better by not only that child, but by you as the woman. And what I mean by do better by you as the woman, I'm not talking about respect. I'm not talking about that. He needs to have a mutual understanding that you can be civil without the arguing, without the name calling, without the, egotistical type of things, all that. Okay? So, it's just really annoying because this whole weekend, she's been trying to antagonize me and tell me, what I want, consistency. I want you to call her once a week. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. I want you to do this. Listen, when you talk to anybody like that, I don't care if it's your boss. I don't care if it's your coworker. I don't care if it's your mama, your brother, your sister. You're always going to get an adverse reaction. I mean, that's just common sense. You ask people what they can do versus you try to dictate them and tell them what to do. Because when you tell people what to do, guess what? 9 out of 10, they're not going to do anything. They're just going to renege on it. And then you're going to be stuck there frustrated, looking stupid, trying to figure out what happened. I'm going to tell you, and I'm not going to keep this long, but women, pick your men wisely. And if you have a good man that truly grew up as a family man, you need to cherish that. Cherish it because you got lucky. Because there's a lot of young men out here who don't know. And I encourage you, young brothers, to really dig deep and find out the true meaning of fatherhood. Understand the true meaning of what a man's supposed to be. Don't let these women define you by your size of your dick. Let these women understand that you have this and you got heart. Because with these two things, you make better choices in the women that you choose. And ladies, you make a better choice by not thinking what he got down in his pants and how deep his pockets is. That's what society is bringing us to. This is where we need to stop this chain reaction. Worrying about material things, worrying about things that don't matter. Right here is what matters. Right here is what matters. I tell my daughter's mom this all the time. She keep talking about money, but yet she want to throw it in my face. Well, I don't need your money. I don't need this. Well, if you don't need it, then why am I paying you? Okay? Whoa, I forgot. Because law says I have to. So we can flip that. Because law says I have to. Law doesn't say I have to be in my child's life, but I choose to be. Because that's the type of man I am here and right here. And women, you need to understand that about these brothers. And young men, you need to understand that. Is that when you lay with a woman, that's a choice. Okay? It's a choice. So I'm going to need you to figure it out. I'm going to need you to get through it. And I'm going to need you to work through it. And for my baby mama that's probably looking at this, real talk, understand something. I'm not your toy. I lost 8 to 9 years of this little girl's life. 8 to 9. And you talk about money. You talk about money, you're going to get your money back. But I don't get all those years back with that little girl. And that's the sad part.